doing, everyone? It's Mr. Anime. Or you can call me Trey. You can call me the guy that does the video game reviews, or you can call me the guy that does all the gun stuff now.
Picture the gut-wrenching moment when the unthinkable becomes reality. Your beloved great-nephew, the child you've watched grow, stands accused of a heinous crime. For Wade Frierson, the nightmare materialized on March 20th, 2012. Earlier that morning at around 7 a.m., Wida tried to call her nephew Trey Sesler to continue making arrangements for his terminally ill father who was in hospice care. All she heard was static on the line. "I thought, that's strange," she recalled. Later, a call to her sister brought a chilling revelation. "Look out of the window," her sister urged. Wada's heart sank as she saw a police officer standing behind crime scene tape that encircled her nephew's home. That was the moment her world unraveled, and the once beloved Trey Sesler, known to many as Mr. Anime, shattered the tranquility of Waller, Texas. But what led to this tragic turn? Join us as we unravel the disturbing story of Trey Sesler, from his rise as a YouTube star to the chilling events that forever changed his family and community. We will explore the warning signs, the fascination with violence, and the tragic consequences of a young man's descent into madness.
Oh, hi there. I'm Mr. Anime. I hope you didn't have to see all of that.
Trey Sesler was born and raised in the small town of Waller, Texas. Growing up in a close-knit community, Trey was the younger of two sons in the Sesler family. His parents, Lawton Ray Sesler Jr. and Rhonda Wise Sesler, were known for their kindness and involvement in the local community. According to public records, Lawton Sesler, 58, taught at Robinson Elementary in Cy-Fair Independent School District, while Rhonda worked for the local newspaper. He and Rhonda Sesler, 57, had been married 34 years. Trey's older brother, Mark Allen Sesler, shared a typical sibling relationship with him, marked by both camaraderie and rivalry. From a young age, Trey exhibited a keen interest in anime and video games, hobbies that would later define his online persona. His fascination with anime started in childhood, and he spent countless hours watching and discussing his favorite shows. This passion extended to video games, where Trey often immersed himself in various fantasy worlds, finding an escape from the mundane aspects of daily life. In school, Trey was remembered as a quiet and somewhat introverted student. He maintained decent grades and had a small circle of friends who shared his interests in anime and gaming. Despite his reserved nature, those close to him noted his intelligence and creativity. He often expressed his love for anime through art and storytelling, showing a talent for visual and narrative composition. As a teenager, Trey's interest began to expand. He developed a fascination with special effects and filmmaking, often experimenting with creating his own short films. This interest was evident in his early YouTube videos, where he reviewed anime and showcased his growing skills in video production. His initial content was well received, characterized by detailed reviews and a genuine enthusiasm that resonated with viewers. However, beneath the surface, Trey was struggling with deeper issues. While his early life seemed typical, there were signs of his internal battles. Friends and family would later recount moments of isolation and mood swings, which at the time seemed like typical teenage angst. These behavioral changes, though subtle, were early indicators of the mental health issues that would later culminate in tragic actions. Trey's childhood and teenage years were a blend of normalcy and underlying tension, marked by a growing obsession with darker themes. His interests, while initially innocent, began to take on a more ominous tone as he delved deeper into the realms of violence and fantasy, foreshadowing the grim path his life would eventually take.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Anime, and boy, do I have a show for you.
Trey Sesler, known online as Mr. Anime, began his YouTube career with a focus on anime reviews and discussions. Over the course of 4 years, his channel quickly gained traction within the anime community, thanks to his detailed and enthusiastic content. Trey's deep knowledge of anime combined with his engaging review style helped him build a loyal following. Trey started with normal reviews, often using a simple 1 to 10 rating system to evaluate different anime series. His early videos were characterized by clear, concise commentary and a genuine passion for the subject matter.
But, the computer generation blends pretty well with the animation, and the voice acting was pretty good too.
These reviews resonated with viewers who shared his love for anime, and his channel steadily grew in popularity. Several of Trey's videos became particularly popular, helping to solidify his status as a notable figure in the anime review community. His review of Akira, for instance, showcased his ability to delve deeper into the themes and characters of the movie, providing insightful analysis that appealed to both casual viewers and hardcore fans.
It's really gory and it really sends strong kind of political messages.
Another significant video was his review of Evangelion, which highlighted his detailed approach and comprehensive understanding of anime storytelling.
I mean, think about this. He's a kid. Okay, yeah, he's a kid. I shouldn't be so hard on a kid, right? No. Kids are supposed to be destructive. They're supposed to want to shoot things. Any kid would jump at the opportunity to get in a giant robot and blow the hell out of something. Come on now, Shinji, what the hell are you thinking?
As his channel grew, Trey began to diversify his content. He included discussions on broader anime-related topics, such as industry trends, favorite genres, and personal recommendations. He also started to experiment with video production techniques, incorporating special effects and more dynamic editing styles into his videos. This not only kept his content fresh and engaging, but also showcased his growing skills as a filmmaker. However, as Trey's channel continued to grow, subtle changes began to emerge in his content. His videos started to shift away from purely anime-focused topics to include more personal and erratic subjects.
Yeah, but I never grew out of the video games. I still love to play the doo-doo-doo-doo. I still love to play the Game Boy. I bought Pearl, so I don't know if I bought the newest one yet. I don't know, I think Pearl's like the second oldest one now, but I have that, so that's semi-new.
Viewers noticed a change in his demeanor, with his once upbeat and articulate presentation becoming more disjointed and disturbing. He began posting videos that featured him shooting at various objects with guns, a stark departure from his earlier content. There was even a video where he discusses mass shootings.
Today I'm ranting on something, a little bit... Right? Yes, I'm ranting on something a little bit anime unrelated. I'm ranting on all the shootings that have been happening. Pittsburgh, New York, Alabama, California. It's like every day I get online and click open Yahoo or whatever I open and let the publicity fill my mind with bad thoughts about the place I live.
This shift marked the beginning of a troubling period in Trey's life, one that would eventually lead to tragic consequences. Despite the growing concerns among his viewers, his channel continued to attract attention, drawing in a mix of old fans and new viewers curious about his unusual content.
Because I'm so tired of that guy, because he's cut his throat. Anyway.
Trey's fascination extended beyond his videos. He immersed himself in the study of infamous mass shootings and serial killers.
You know, they had an article that were like, well, the economy's gone bad. Everyone's losing their job and getting mad and shooting everybody. Yeah, I guess that makes sense since a lot of the shooters lately have recently lost their job.
Notably, he showed a particular interest in the Columbine High School massacre and the Virginia Tech shooting. He meticulously researched these tragedies, studying the perpetrators, their methods, and the aftermath of their actions. Trey didn't just study these events, he evaluated them with a disturbing level of detail. He methodically graded the shooters based on various criteria, including the number of victims and the perceived effectiveness of their plans. This obsession with scoring and analyzing mass killings revealed a deeply troubling mindset. Trey even documented his thoughts and assessments, indicating a methodical approach to understanding and, alarmingly, potentially emulating these violent acts. As Trey's content grew darker, his mental state became increasingly unstable. His videos began to feature rambling monologues, and his appearance and behavior became more erratic.
Because I am lazy and I don't feel like reading all the time. I don't feel like going like, But obviously manga have huge advantages over anime. You can read them in cars, you can read them on a roller coaster, you can read them in space flights if you do that sort of thing. Of course, I guess you could have a little portable DVD player and watch anime in all three of those places as well if the ride operator on the roller coaster allows you to take a mini DVD player. I don't know why you'd be watching anime at a theme park anyway, or reading manga, but I was just throwing that out there.
Friends, family, and viewers noticed these changes, but the full extent of his descent into madness was not yet clear.
Well, what can I say? Let's take a look at some of the footage.
The morning of March 20th, 2012 began like any other for the Sesler family. However, for Trey, it marked the culmination of a dark and violent plan he had meticulously crafted. At around 10 o'clock a.m., Trey lured his mother, Rhonda Y. Sesler, into the garage under the pretense of needing her assistance. Once there, he ambushed her, shooting her 4 times in the chest at point-blank range with a shotgun. Rhonda's death was instantaneous, a cold and calculated act that signified the beginning of Trey's rampage. Following the murder of his mother, Trey entered the house and found his brother, Mark Allen Sesler. Mark, sensing the danger, attempted to flee and fight off his brother. Despite his efforts, Trey shot him in the head, killing him instantly. The confrontation included desperate pleas from Mark, questioning Trey's actions with words like, "Why are you doing this?" But Trey was resolute in his horrific mission. Shortly after, Trey's father, Lawton Ray Sesler Jr., entered the house. Likely drawn by the noise and commotion, Trey confronted him and, without hesitation, shot him as well, killing him instantly. The brutal efficiency of Trey's actions indicated a chilling resolve to complete his grisly plan. Reports also show that he also killed his family pets before guilt fully overcame him. He scrawled messages on the walls of his home, expressing his love for his family and asking for God's forgiveness. Phrases like, "I love my mom, dad, and brother," and "God forgive me because I cannot forgive myself," were found written inside the house, highlighting his internal turmoil and regret. He also called members of his extended family, explaining what he had done and apologized for his actions.
And I'll see you with some blog videos. Thanks for watching my channel.
Officers investigated an earlier report of shots fired around 5:30 p.m. Monday at the residence, but didn't find anything. Authorities checked on the home again Tuesday afternoon following a call from concerned family members who had not been able to reach their relatives. They understood there had been some kind of disturbance made at the house, explained Waller County Sheriff Glenn Smith. Waller County Sheriff Glenn Smith and his team arrived at the Sesler evidence on Farr near Dewey. Through a window, officers saw a lifeless body, prompting them to enter the house. Inside, they found a horrifying scene. Lawton Ray Sesler Jr., his wife Rhonda Weiss Sesler, and their son Mark Allen Sesler, 26, had all been shot to death, apparently with a high-powered rifle, as described by Smith. This was a scene that had a lot of violence, he remarked, noting the disarray within the home. Sheriff Smith described the scene as one of extreme violence, with the house ransacked and the victim showing clear signs of a brutal attack. Trey Sesler, however, was conspicuously absent from the premises. A thorough search of the residence only served to confirm suspicions, as authorities identified him as the prime suspect in the triple homicide. There was evidence at the scene. It was pretty obvious, Smith stated. An arrest warrant was swiftly issued on Tuesday afternoon for Sesler following the grim discovery of his parents and brother around 1 p.m. Trey Sesler was now on the run, armed and dangerous. Authorities believed he might have body armor and a high-powered weapon, making him a significant threat. Authorities launched a massive manhunt, searching for Trey, who was believed to be hiding in his 2010 black Ford Mustang. The search extended across Waller and the surrounding areas. Trey managed to evade capture for hours, moving stealthily to avoid detection. His vehicle was eventually spotted near a friend's house in the 26,000 block of Barnett, near Magnolia, Texas. Law enforcement had been watching the home for several hours after identifying his car parked outside. With the house under surveillance, officers prepared to make their move. At approximately 9:30 p.m., after a day-long manhunt, authorities closed in on the house. Trey Eric Sesler was found inside and arrested without incident, bringing a tense and tragic day to an end.
No, man, hey, don't get mad at me. You're a half-demon. I'm just a human.
Following his arrest, Trey Sesler faced a thorough police interrogation. What he revealed during this time was both chilling and revealing. During the interrogation, Trey confessed to the murders of his family, explaining in disturbing detail the psychological state that led to the horrific events. He claimed he killed his parents and brother to spare them the shame and repercussions of being related to a mass murderer. Trey admitted that he had intended to shoot up Waller Junior High and kill at least 70 students. This was a plan he had been meticulously preparing for years. To build up the courage for this Columbine-style mass shooting, Trey had been practicing by shooting pets. However, after killing his family, the reality of his actions overwhelmed him and he backed out of his plan to attack the school. Trey's confessions didn't stop at the murders. He also admitted to setting several fires, including some of the wildfires from the previous summer. Additionally, he confessed to shooting at buildings around town after hours, including Waller High School. Investigators seized 4 of Trey Sesler's computers from his house. The content on these computers painted a disturbing picture. Trey had spent a considerable amount of time studying and grading serial killers, researching mass shootings, and plotting potential attack sites. Among the files, they found an aerial map of Waller, which police believed he was using to identify potential targets, including malls and schools. The interrogation and evidence gathered provided a harrowing insight into Trey's mind, revealing the extent of his planning and the depth of his troubled psyche.
A lot, guys. I appreciate it. Over the 4 or 5 years, I appreciate it a lot.
As the gavel fell and the trial of Trey Sesler began, the courtroom was gripped by a palpable tension, a tension born of sorrow, anger, and a desperate yearning for justice. For months, the legal proceeding served as a crucible, testing the limits of truth and mercy in the face of unspeakable tragedy. Sesler, once a figure of fear and menace, now sat hunched and defeated, his eyes cast downward in a silent admission of guilt. With each passing day, the weight of his crimes bore down upon him, stripping away the last vestiges of his former defiance. Sesler chose to plead guilty, a decision that sent shockwaves rippling through the courtroom. His confession, though devoid of remorse, served as a grim reminder of the horrors he had unleashed upon his unsuspecting family. And yet, even as his words echoed through the hallowed halls of justice, there remained a haunting silence. A silence born of the collective grief of those whose lives had been forever changed by his actions. As the trial drew to a close, the judge delivered the final verdict. Sesler was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a fitting end to a chapter marked by tragedy and despair.
Weird. It's weird. Yeah, weird. Really weird. Really odd parts of the film.
In the aftermath of Trey Sesler's rampage, questions linger. Questions that cut to the heart of our collective understanding of human nature and the fragility of the human psyche. How had such a tragedy been allowed to unfold? Were there warning signs that had gone unnoticed? Opportunities for intervention that had been tragically missed? Indeed, the path to violence is often paved with a multitude of warning signs, subtle clues that, when viewed in hindsight, seem painfully obvious. In Sesler's case, red flags had been raised long before his final descent into darkness. A troubled adolescence marked by isolation and simmering resentment, a fascination with violent ideologies, and a history of mental health struggles that had gone unaddressed. And yet, despite these glaring indicators, the system had failed to intervene, a failure compounded by a society that too often turns a blind eye to the suffering of those on the fringes, dismissing their cries for help as nothing more than the ravings of a troubled mind. But perhaps the most sobering realization to emerge from Sesler's rampage is the undeniable role played by the internet and media in shaping the minds of vulnerable individuals. In an age where information flows freely and boundaries between reality and fantasy blur with alarming frequency, the seeds of extremism find fertile ground in the fertile minds of those who feel marginalized and disenfranchised. For Sesler, the online world had become a breeding ground for hate and violence, a dark echo chamber where his deepest fears and insecurities were amplified and distorted beyond recognition. And yet, even as he spiraled ever deeper into the abyss, there were few who dared to reach out a helping hand, to offer a glimmer of hope in a world consumed by darkness.
So, finally, I guess this brings me to the end of the video.
The tale of Trey Sesler stands as a stark reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the devastating consequences that can arise when warning signs are ignored and cries for help go unanswered. His descent into darkness, marked by isolation, resentment, and a fascination with violence, serves as a chilling testament to the dangers of unchecked extremism and the corrosive influence of the internet and media. But amidst the sorrow and despair, there are lessons to be learned, lessons that speak to the power of compassion, understanding, and the importance of addressing mental health issues before they spiral out of control. The tragedy of Trey Sesler serves as a rallying cry for greater awareness and prevention, a call to action to confront the root causes of violence and extremism, and to offer hope to those who need it most. As we reflect on this harrowing story, let us remember that the prevention of such tragedies begins with us. It begins with recognizing the signs of distress, reaching out to those who are struggling, and fostering an environment where seeking help is seen as a strength, not a weakness.